Hi, in this video we are going to see how to process the large XML document. So in order to do that, I'll just try to download the sample XML from internet. So I'll just go to this docs.microsoft.com and I'll just go to the sample XML file, which is a books.xml, and you just copy this XML and save it in your notepad, and then you open it. And this particular file, it's having around 12 books related information. Each book is having the book related details like author and title of the book and what is the price of the book and published date and other information. And if you look at this one, this book is starting with book 101 and 102. Similarly, you have something like till 12, and there are 12 book information available in this particular file, which I have downloaded it and I have saved it in a catalog.xml, and I just kept it under my demo input and catalog.xml folder. Or this input folder, I have this catalog.xml file. So this file is having 12 records now. So what will I do? I'll just try to process this smaller file first, and then later we are going to execute with the bigger file, which is also I copied in the same folder, which I named it as a catalog_large.xml. This particular file, how I prepared it, I used the same content. I did a copy and pasted the same book information in order to make the bigger file. So now what we are going to do, we will start with the smaller file, and then we'll see how the output is getting generated. And once the output is getting generated, we will use a bigger file for our processing. So now I'll just go to catalog.xml, and I'm going to use that file for processing. So in order to do that, I'll just create a flow service. I'll just name this flow service as process inbound XML. So this is what we are going to do, and then I'll click next, and then I'll click finish. So now this particular sample, we are going to take a file from our local path. So I'm going to use a get file option, and here we have to give a file name which needs to be processed, which I'll copy from here, and then I'll paste the directory first, then I'll give a file name which is catalog.xml. I'll just give OK, and then I'll just load it as a stream. So for this example, we are taking it from the file system, but in our real scenario, we either get the data from external system to our service, or we pick up the data from our FTP location or SFTP location. So now whatever the data we wanted to receive, it's in a stream format. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use a relevant service which will be helpful for the large XML handling, which is pub XML getXMLNodeIterator, and this needs the data in a node format, but what we have is in a stream format. So we need to convert that as a node. So in order to do that, I'll invoke one more service, insert, and I'll use a service called Xml String to XML Node. Here, as we have a stream, this stream we have to map it to this $file string, and then whatever the node we have, so that is getting mapped to here. So that is our entire data, so which I'll map it to something called some meaningful name. I'll make it, so this is my catalog node, and I'll map this node document to catalog node document, and I'll mapped it. Sorry, I have mapped it wrongly. I'll map it now correctly, and then I'll whatever it's not required, right? This mapping is not required. Node to node, which is an implicit mapping, is not required. I can delete it, or first I'll save this one, and then I'll just remove this one. So the implicit mapping, I'm not able to select it, so that's fine. So I'll just go to get file 1, and whatever it's not required, I'll drop it, which is file name and loaders. It's not required in the further step. I have just dropped it. And XML string to node. So whatever the stream, I passed it here, and this node is not required, and file stream and body also not required, because everything I mapped it to the content. I have mapped it to catalog node, because we should not keep everything in the pipeline, because it will load entire data into memory. So whatever it's required, that is alone we are mapping it. So this catalog node is our node input for this service, which I will map it here. And the criteria, so this criteria, it is nothing but whatever your document list which you wanted to process it, right? In our case, book is the repeated element, so I'll just copy the book and I'll paste it in the criteria here, which is a string list. So I'll just give it as a string list of 0. I gave it as a book now. So now I filled all the relevant details, and then there is one more thing called moving window, so that we need to set it as true, which I'll set it now. And then this iterator, we need it for the further step, so that is already mapped implicitly. whatever is not required, right, this moving window, criteria and node, I'll just drop it. So as of now, what I'm keeping it now, the entire the iterator data and also the catalog node, as of now I'm keeping it for the further processing. So now we have a iterator, so we need to use one more service, which is getXML Node. So this is the one, it will take each node at a time. For example, so this particular XML having the book information around 12 times. So it needs to take the only one element at a time, then it will take the next element. So this service will get the each element separately. So we are passing a iterator and this particular node, right, which will have the first book for the first time. Next time when we loop over, it will take the next record. So as we need to loop all the records, or as we need to loop all the information in order to process the entire set, we need to add a repeat here. So I'll add a repeat here, because then only we can repeat this particular getXML node for the multiple times. So this particular step should go under repeat. So what we are going to do, so we are going to do repeat on success, and unless we have this particular node element, right, or this particular document is having a data, until then we have to repeat it. Then only it will take each record at a time, and then if there is a next record is available, it will move on further. So when next record is not available, then we have to come out from this particular loop. So in order to do that particular kind of check, I'm going to copy this particular content, and then I'm going to add a branch condition here, so that we can validate it, the next record is exist or not. So for that I'm adding a switch case, and if next record is exist, so I'll add a sequence here, and I'll add a exist condition here. So I'm adding exist here, which is a regular expression. So if the name is exist, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to write the required logic. If not exist, then I'll add a sequence condition there, which I have to have outside under this particular main sequence, and it should be under your branch. And if there is no next class name, okay, which is null scenario, so I'll change the label to null. So for example, you have processed all the 12 records, so further records are not available, then what you have to do, you have to exit from the repeat. So this exit, you have to change it to loop, so that it will exit from this particular repeat. So I'll save this one now. So what I'm going to do is, once I take the specific node, for example, I am taking this first node now. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to write this data into my file system. So for that, what I'm going to do, so as we have a node, right, I'll just try to convert that node to document, and or I will change that node to string, so that I can write that into my file system. So in order to do that, I'll just take this node to document, and then I'm going to convert that to string as well, and finally I'm going to write into my file system. So in order to write to file system, I'll use something which is available in the WM public, which is string to file. So everything I'm using a built-in service only. So this node is nothing but, I'll just go and see what is the output. Yeah, so it's under the next node, which I'll map it now under the next node, whatever the node is there, which is first time when the record comes inside, this particular node will have the information about this particular first book. And also we are taking a criteria for book. So when we take a criteria for book, this entire information will be available in the first node. So which I mapped it, and this is your document. And so when we loop over for the next time, we can take this because we have already mapped the next node data to here, so which I don't need it further, which I can drop it now. And then document to XML string. So document to XML string is there. So when we take this data, right, as a iterator, and you have this node, right, as we are filling a criteria here, it will take only these data only. So it will not take the entire data. It will take the entire data, but when it gets mapped, right, and it will map to the document under this information with ID and author, everything will get mapped. So in order to have some root segment, what will I do? Whatever the document I have, so I'll try to map that into another structure. I'll just create one more structure, and then I'll just map this particular document. So which I'll just remove it from here, and then I'll map it at this level. Okay, so then you will have something called book, and then your content will come, and then that we are converting to string document. So whatever the string I have, so this document anyway I don't need it further, I'll just drop it. And this XML node to document, so this node is not required, which also I'll remove it. And then document I'm converting to XML data, and that XML data I'm just mapping to data, and then whatever it's not required, right, this XML data I'll just drop it, I'll save it now. And also this data is not required in the output pipeline output, which is also I'll drop it. So now this file name I need to form it. So in order to form the file name for each book, what will I do? I'll just try to create one datetime service in order to take some time with millisecond value, which I'll give it like date, year, date, month, year, and then hours, minute, and then second, and then I'll just give millisecond. So this is my processing time, which I'll map it as a processing time. And then I'll map this value to processing time, and whatever it's not required I'll just drop it, and then I'll save it. So document to XML string is there, this document is anyway it's not required, and XML data is there, and here the pattern I have processing time. So this processing time I'm just going to use it for our file name, which is coming as a runtime variable. So I'll just give %simple, and then I'll just give it like .xml, and also I'll substitute this perform variable substitution. Okay, so now that is complete. So what we have done, we have get the file, and we have used that to convert to node, because our large processing service, right, which required the data in a node format. So that's the reason we converted string to node. And then once we have a iterator, we are looping over that, and then basically we are using a repeat in order to get each node at a time. So get next XML node, it will get only one node at a time. So once we have a node, then we are processing it to inside this particular sequence, because we have a condition like if that particular name is exist, or you can even do with the node also. If that value exists, then we are proceeding further. When we repeat on success, and then if you don't have further to loop, then this particular name will come as a null, then we are exiting from the loop, which will exit from this repeat. So now we will try with this with smaller example or smaller file, which is nothing but our catalog.xml, which is having 12 records. So now what will I do? So we just gave only the file name here, so we didn't give the complete path where I want to write it. So what I want to do is I want to write in a different folder. So I'll take this output folder, which is currently empty, I'm going to write it there. So file name I give the complete path, and also the file name I'm forming it here with the timestamp. I'll just give OK, and also we are forming the file name inside the repeat only. So and also we are capturing the time value till millisecond level, so it might become only the unique value for the file name. So now I'll just try to run this service just to see the service is working as expected, right? And see here it is executed successfully, and then I'll just go and see the output. See here there are 12 items, see bottom left side 12 items, and I'll just try to open one of the file in my notepad. Open with notepad. See here the data is just clumsy, and this book information, right, which is ending here, and then whatever it is there, right, under the document level, that is also getting mapped, which I need to drop it properly. I'll just go. Okay, as it is not working, what will I do quickly? So this document, right, instead of mapping to document, I'll just change this to book, so that everything will come under book. And this book now, right, I'll just go here, and okay, it's not saved, so I'll just go and I'll create a new document in the pipeline, which is called book. This document, everything whatever it's coming, it will go under the book now, so which is the easiest one. And this document anyway I don't need it, which I'll drop it, and then I'll go inside here, and instead of mapping it from document, I'll just map it from the book, and then I'll save it. Okay, so I'll just drop it. So this should be under document, and then you have something called book. So now I'll just map it. So now the structure will come correctly, which I'll show it first in the debug flow. Then I'll try to, so this book is mapped under the document and which is coming as a XML string. So I don't need this book anymore and also document anymore, which is already dropped. I'll save it now. So now before running end-to-end, right, I'll just try to delete all the files which are not required, because it's getting created with a file stamp and which is I don't need it anymore. Okay, so I deleted everything. I'll try to run it now. Run flow service. If everything is proper, so we should get 12 files. See here, there are 12 files. So 12 items, and then I'll just try to open one of the file. See here, the book is coming with the book ID and author, everything is coming. So because we just did a mapping, because we need some kind of root XML in order to have a valid XML. So that's why we just mapped this XML node to document. This document we mapped to book level, and then this book we mapped it under the document level, so that it comes in a proper structure now. So what we did, right, and so when I run it also, right, it was, the execution was very quick. So I'll just try to delete it, and then I'll just quickly show how much time it's taking. Or what will I do, I'll just delete this one, because anyway I need to show the time, how much time it's taking for the processing for end-to-end, right. So I'll just copy this get current datetime string here before starting our processing, which I'll map it to another time called start time, and then I'll just try to map this value, and then I'll just drop this. Okay, not dropping, I'll just remove it. So start time value is already dropped, and then I'll save it. So this is basically a start time, and similarly I'll just copy some end time outside, so that we know end to end how much time it's taking for the processing. So this one I'll just map it with end time, and then I'll map this value to end time, and whatever it's not required here, I'll drop it. Okay, I'll save this one now. So now start time, and then this should be end time. I'll just change this comment alone, end time. Okay, so I've saved it now. So this particular start time, end time, it will come in our output as well. So I'll try to delete. So already deleted. So I just try to run it now. It will generate 12 files from the processing, and how much time it's taking. Start time, if you look at this, this is 2 January 2022, 7:32 hours, 7 hours, 7th hour, evening 7 o'clock and 32 minutes and 18 second, and 643 millisecond. Similarly, if you look at the end time, 7:32 18, and only few milliseconds only difference for processing 12 records. 643 milliseconds to it took 678 only. Even it took almost around so almost around it took 25 milliseconds only to process this entire data, which is having 12 files, which is very good actually. It's very 25 milliseconds only. So now what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to process a bigger file. So even for these 12 records also, how we did it, so we didn't load entire 12 data into memory. So we did only one data at a time. So this getXML node, it will take only one node at a time, which is nothing but this particular set from the catalog. This is your one node. So we took one node at a time for the memory and processed it and write it to our file system. In our real use case, we might send this data to some backend system through FTP or SFTP, or it could be database. So those kind of things we'll call, and then we'll connect and send it. For this exercise, I'm just writing it, and we are not loading entire thing into memory. So we are taking only one record or one node at a time to memory. So now we saw how it took only 25 milliseconds to process smaller file. So I'm just going to give this data as a large file. Okay, catalog underscore large, and I'll save this one now, and I'll delete all the output now which generated for the previous run, which is having a 12 records, and I'll just go to input. So this catalog.large XML, right, it's almost around 12 MB data. Okay, so I'll just open that in a notepad, and I'll try to count how many book information is there by doing this find with this end tag, and I'm trying to do a count. See here, there are 32,629 records are there, which is occupying around 12 MB. Okay, so 32,000 629 record, which is 32k plus records we have. So I'm going to process this record. So I have changed the file name already, catalog.large, and that large file I gave it here. There is no change, and I'm going to run it so that we are going to see how much time it's going to take it for 12 MB file, right? And also we can go and see the output, and you will be able to see the output is getting generated very fast. And I'll just go to the output folder. I'm opening the output folder now. See here, the left bottom right, and you are able to see 3000 items, right? And 3000 files so far got created. And we know we have around 32,000 plus records, so it's very fast only. So but again, we are not loading all the 32,000 records into memory, so entire 12 MB it's not getting loaded into your integration server memory. Instead, it's taking one record at a time, and it processing only one record at a time to the backend system. In our case, we are writing to our file system, and then in real use case, you can even take the data and you can publish to your messaging layer, or you can even send it to your web service, or you can send it to your database or any other system. See here, I think we took only few milliseconds or less than a second, which process approximately around 10,000 records. Maybe I think the overall process might take 1 or 2 minutes because we have huge records to process. And see here, 32,625 only it's there. I'll just try to see from our file catalog large. Count 32,629 is there. Maybe as we are processing very faster, right, and maybe 1 or 2 files got overwritten, so that is what it happened. And you see start and end time. Start time 7:34:58 seconds. Okay, 7:34 minute and 58 second and 6:31 millisecond. And I'm going to see here 37:28. Okay, so here in 34 it's almost in the 58 seconds, so only 2 seconds spending here for 35th minute, so 2 seconds, and then here almost 2 minutes, right? So 2 minutes 30 seconds it took to process the entire file, and all the records got processed, and all the files got generated. And that's why you can see all the files written here, and there are 4 files missing because that is maybe due to our file system. See here, it's at the same time, right? 687 and 689. If there is a chance of writing in a same milliseconds also, that's why the 4 file system got missed. And if when you do your exercise, right, and you just try to log some kind of unique other value like UID or kind of book ID or all those stuff, so that it will not overwrite with the same file name. So this way you can handle your large XML. Instead of loading everything into memory, you can take one node at a time, and you can process one node to your backend system. Thank you.